Hello, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Julie.
Now we're going to do a review of Dice Manor, which is for ages 14 and up. 2 to 4 players, takes about 30 to 45 minutes. Now you can't play with younger people. There's actually not much reading involved at all. But they say that do that for regulation purposes. So Dice Manor is a score the most points dice assignment manipulation game that's played over 5 rounds. And you're building a mansion, acquiring these tiles, and there'll always be a new tile, even if you don't bid. If no one wins the bid, they'll go away and you'll get a new one, and you have your draw piles here. You see here from the playthrough, this is the mansion I built. Each person has a start tile right here. And you can't cover up the entrance, so you can't surround it. Here would be Julie's start tile. You start out with 2 inspiration tokens, which you can use to re-roll all dice that are not assigned, or to modify the dice up or down, minus or plus, and you can even use multiple tokens. And dice do wrap around, so 1s can become 6s and 6s can become 1s. Now what are you bidding on here? You're bidding on blueprints to add rooms to your mansion. You're doing advertising to get prestige points as you advertise, and then when your house meets dice, you'll add more dice. So you start out with 7, but you eventually can get 8 and then 9 total dice. This is where you keep track of your rounds. This is where you keep track of prestige points. So you are going to bid on these blueprints. You can do tours, and there will be a final grand tour on the 5th round, where your dice represent people going into the mansion. And you can I already said advertise. So 3 things you can do. So let's explain this track right here. If you're going to assign dice for advertising, it's the most dice followed by, if there's a tie, who has the highest value dice. So if I put 2 6s here and Julie put 1 6, I would beat her and she'd get 2nd place. If she had 3, if I had 2 5s, well 2 4s let's say, she had 1 6, that's okay. I still beat her because 2 dice beat 1 die. But if she had 2 6s, she would beat me and come in 1st place. So she would get 1st place, I'd get 2nd place. 1st place gets to move the house 2 places, so she'd get 6 points here. And then she moves the 1st die 2 spots. You don't get prestige points when the dice move, but now she's closer to connecting the die with the house. So if you put a lot of dice there, you can get your die for the 2nd round. If you, for instance, put 4 dice on there, actually it would have to be 5 dice if you wanted it for the 2nd round. I would only be able to move my house 1, because that's 2nd place, and I'd get 3 points. And I move my die, because I use 2 dice, 2 places as well. In a 3 or 4 player game, whoever's in 3rd or 4th place would get 1 inspiration token. Now how do these blueprints work? Well, you assign dice there, so if I would have rolled this, say I rolled 2 4s and I assigned 2 4s. You must assign all dice of that value. So I can assign 2 1s, 2 2s, or 1 5. And one thing that's to understand is I could put a 2 here, and I could start a tour right here, and it starts in my main room. I don't have to put both 2s here. But I do, if I do pick the 2s to assign, I must assign all my 2s. So if I go here, notice it matches. I'm hoping that I win this one. If Julie would have assigned 2 2s as there as well, because I was there first, I would beat her. If she had 3 2s, she would beat me. She would get the tile, and then I get an inspiration token for coming in 2nd, 3rd, or 4th place if we were playing with more players. But if I were had to have split it, if I do a manor tour, and I go right here, based on this chart, how many points do I get when I place dice? This is, we're doing the bidding phase right here, number 1. If I put only 1 die, I'm going to get an inspiration token. If I place 2 dice, I get 2 points, 3 dice, 5 points, 4 dice, 9 points, and then for every die after 4, it's plus 2. So 5 dice would be, let's see if I can get this lined up here. I'm really confused today. If I do 5 dice, it would be 11 points. 6 dice would be 13. And there's a nice chart. If that graphic is confusing, there's this right here. So when you are assigning dice to a tour, say I did not want to go for the bathroom here at all. That's what the water drop is. I can go to question marks. I can put any die I want. So I would get 2 points for that. But if it was a situation like this, I could only go here, 2, 2, 2. I cannot go here where there's a 1, 4, or a 1, 5, a 6, a 3, 6. They have to be connected. So then I would have to put a 2 there. But at least then I can get 5 points for putting 3 dice in. And then I would move it up right now. At the end, during the collect phase, so that when we were done assigning all of our dice, advertising, blueprints, or tours, then you collect. That's when we'd be moving this around. Each die that's in the manor on turns 1, 2, 3, and 4 gets 1 point each. I'd get another 3 points for that. And then Julie would get her points. And then our dice would come off. And then we get our rooms that we bid on. Say I got this. I would add it. And when you add it, you can't cover up walls with doors. In other words, doors have to connect. So this would be an illegal placement because I have a door going to a blank wall. I'd probably have to place it over here. And I can't have it to the entrance of the mansion. You can't place it like that. On the 5th round, we do the grand tour. We probably would have all of our dice. If you watched How to Play and Playthrough, we had all of our dice. And you could have unhappy guests. So say I roll this, and I have 3 6s. Let's say I rolled a bunch of 6s. Let's say I got really lucky and I rolled all 6s. Okay? And I had no inspiration tokens. Okay? This is a terrible roll.
That's a terrible
I can go
roll.
1, 2, 3, 4. I can connect all these, right?
Yeah.
I'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get 9 points. But because I couldn't place these other 6s, I couldn't change them to anything. These would be all unhappy guests, and I'd be done. Julie can continue rolling if she didn't assign all of our dice. But let's say I did roll that and I had some other numbers here. And then I would get those 9 points. My next round, I'd roll again. And I'd hope I can connect the 1 here. Let's say I did have an inspiration token. I did, yeah. And I changed this 6 to a 1. I could assign it here and here, as long as they're connected to the previous dice, and I get 2 points for that. And so, at the end, the reason why I'm pointing this out is because on the 5th round, you get 3 points for every die you place in your manor. And you'd be like, well, that's a lot of points. Well, you might get unlucky and not build your manor well and not be able to assign dice. Because if you roll a bunch of a number and you can't assign them all, then they don't get assigned. And so somebody might get 3 points for every die they placed. I placed all 9, and Julie maybe only placed 8. So she would get 24 and I'd get 27. At the very end of the game, you get points. So you have diversity. There are 6 room types. If you happen to use all 6, that's 15. If you only used 4 of the 6, that's 4. The largest manor, you count every room except your starting tile. So you'd count all your rooms, and this, even the double rooms here count as 1 each. That would be 2. It's double on the tile, but they're 2 separate rooms. Then you get 1 point for every 2 inspiration tokens that are unspent. Then color majority. Ties, by the way, if you tie, it's 8 points. And if there's a tie for second place, they get 4 points. So let's say we're playing a 4-player game. Julie and I tie, we get 8 points. And if Johnny and Jack tied for second place, they get 4 points each. So you also can get color majority. So whoever has the most points wins after 5 rounds.
Johnny and Jack, huh?
Yeah, Johnny and Jack.
Okay. Well, now we're going to tell you our positives, negatives, and neutrals. And then after that, how we rated it on the BGG scale. And you know, I always go first. So here we go. Dice, my favorite. It has dice. When I saw this at Dice Tower West, I was so excited. I was like, I have to learn how to play this. And it was great.
Yeah, I was showing somebody a prototype for a game, and then I said, Julie, you might want to play this game while I'm having this meeting.
And he came to check on me. I'm like, I'm buying this game. I love it. So I did. So anyway, I thought it was an interesting way to allocate the dice to build your manor. I've not done something like that before, so it's really kind of cool. Makes you think about how you want to build things, and you'll see on the How to Play and Playthrough, I struggled a little bit putting things together, but it worked out. I think the components are real nice. The pieces are real thick. The dice, I mean, they're dice.
They
Can't
are
go wrong
etched.
with dice.
They are etched dice. Mm-hmm. And they are.
They're thick.
They're thick.
Mm-hmm. And what else do I have to say? It can be a little frustrating at first. And I did get frustrated trying to figure out how to build. And I still get a little frustrated on how to build my rooms. And the scoring, I still get a little confused on, but thank goodness I have this guy to help me through that. And I feel that I've only played this with 2 people, the man who taught me how to play and then with David. but I feel that if we played with more people, it might get a little extra competitive, and
I think you're going to win less rooms with
you would
more players.
win less rooms, and I think you would not, you definitely wouldn't get everything you wanted, and you'd have to just kind of recalibrate how you want to do things. And some people might really like that, and others might, and myself, I'm including myself, I might be like, I don't want to play
Well, you're
with
neutral on it. You don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah. So those are my plus, minuses, and neutrals.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a cool dice allocation, bidding, buildings, score the most points game. I mean, it is interesting when you're rolling the dice and you're having to decide, do I go for this? Do I outbid somebody, or do I place more dice than I need to? In other words, if I place 3 5s here because I really want it, and your opponents, they don't care. So you just assigned 5 dice to a room that nobody wanted, but you just wanted to make sure you got it. And so so it's like a worker placement. Your dice are like worker placements, and I might have assigned too many to that. So there's a little bit of tension there on that. How soon you try to go for these is, and then whether or not when you roll a lot of dice, and if you built your mansion efficiently, like if I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I roll 5 6s, I'm going to take that, and 5 6s would be 11 points. I did do that during the playthrough. I were able to, and I manipulated it to make it 5 6s, and I got 11 points. So that was a good. You could see here at the end of the game in the how to play and playthrough, that helped me win.
Thought you were going to say who won.
Well, you're right. But if somebody's watching, they'll know that now. So the pieces are decent. I mean, the dice are a little. Look, yeah, they're etched, but this reminds me of old school dice from the 80s or 90s.
I kind of like that though.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of cool.
The dice for me are they're the least attractive part of the game.
Wow.
They're
I
not
love
that.
the colors.
They're just not that cool. Okay.
Well, I like
I don't know what you could have done to make it more interesting. I mean, I understand that dice are expensive to put into a game.
Oh, I'm sure.
The tiles are great. This is not warping too much, because that can happen. These are thin, but they're not. They're not the
doing much with
worst.
them.
I understand that, but I think I would have liked to have seen something more with the dice, and that's why I say they're decent. Direct building conflict. Bidding will be more intense with 3 or 4 players, so we did agree on that. So it's a neutral. That's fine. Just realize it's going to play differently than 2 players. So there's some luck in loss mitigation. So that's a good thing, that you can use these to re-roll all the dice that you haven't assigned, or to make them go up or down in value. But also, too, when you lose a bid, you get something. And that's a good game. So even if you lose something, you're still going to get something. And if you don't win a bid, you're still going to get something. That's a good way to do things. And sometimes sometimes you'll see that, I know I'm not going to win this. I mean, Julie knows she's not going to win this, but she'll put a 5 there anyway, just so she can get an inspiration token. So sometimes you do that on purpose. Okay, buried rules not on reference sheet. This can be very difficult to use effectively. You got to get used to it, especially this part, and when you're going in the collection phase, this right here. So you'll see on the how to play and playthrough, I point out some buried rules that could have been on the reference sheet. It's not the worst reference sheet, but it will impede people from playing it correctly. So there's some obvious forced choices may reduce repeat plays. Maybe it needs an expansion. What I mean by obvious forced choices, people are going to want to get these dice as quick as possible. And when the purple tiles come up, which allow you to count as any room that they're next to, people are going to go for that. And trying to get a diversity of manor. It's just certain things you're going to do every time. They'll be like, do I really want to play it again? I know how it's going to go. So how often it's going to reduce repeat plays, how obvious it gets to the table. So it's a minus for me. It's not varied enough, because even the tiles, there's only enough of these tiles to play the 4 rounds that you build.
But you may not always get them either.
Right, I'm just pointing out that it's kind of samey, okay?
Okay.
But it is thinky build with math connections, and definitely it will frustrate you when you're building at times, saying, I really want to put something here, but they don't put doors on the right area. They do that often enough that I think over time, the more you play, you'll be like, oh, I know that these type of tiles are not going to match up with these tiles. So it will benefit experienced players. But it is thinky that when you do tours, you definitely want to see how I can go 6s this way. I have the question marks. I can go 5s and 1s that way, or 4s, and then 3s are stuck over here. So, but I have a 3 stuck over, but at least it's with a 6.
Mm-hmm.
So it does encourage you. There's a little bit more thinking going on than you might dismiss. And the math connections are great for young people as well. Especially if you're going to do a unit where you have them build houses.
Oh, yeah, that would be neat.
All right, so let's see how we rate it.
Okay. Wow.
So you said an 8, enjoy playing and would suggest it. And why is it an 8 for you?
Because, well, it's dice. I love dice. I really do. I love rolling it. I love the building of the manor, even though I'm not the greatest at it. I love making my brain really think hard and have to manipulate things. Because I don't have, what's that stuff I have problems with?
Spatial reasoning.
Spatial reasoning.
Yeah.
So this helps with that. I will admit my brain does get tired after playing it, but it's a good tired because I know I really worked hard at it. I love the colors of the tiles. I just enjoy the game. I really do. That's why.
That's because it's a dice game. If it was cards, you probably wouldn't do it as much.
Maybe not.
Now for me, it's a 6.5.
Wow.
If Julie wants to play it, I'd have to think about it if I'm really in the mood for it. It's just because it is kind of samey.
No.
I know that we're going to play 5 rounds. We're going to, if I can't, right now, we're looking at it as, okay, if I'm not going to go color majority, maybe I go for the largest manor. It's just not enough going on for me to be like, yeah, I really want to play this again tomorrow. It's more like, yeah, we'll keep it in the collection. And if Julie wants to play it, I'll play it. Maybe with more plays we'll go up, or it may go down to a 6 where it's just like, I really got to be in the mood for it. But Julie likes it more than me, which is fine, which means she'll suggest it, and then I'll have to decide if I'm really in the mood for it.
And if he doesn't want to, I appreciate that and I respect that, and that's okay. I know he really enjoys a lot more complicated type games than I do, and this is like right up my alley. This is my speed of a game to play. And
well, let me give you an example. I think I'd rather play Dreamhouse over this.
Really?
Yeah.
I do like Dreamhouse too.
But we haven't played Dreamhouse in a while either.
We'd have to play it again. But it was fun. It was a fun game.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, this is not a terrible game. It's just that I just know. It's like we haven't played Azul in a while. Okay, we were playing it every day for a year.
Yeah, we need to get back on that one. Yeah.
But we played that game every day for a year.
Yeah.
This game, there's other games I'd rather play over this.
Well, that's okay.
It's not terrible, but because it's just not enough.
I respect that.
I know that I need to get the 2 dice. I know that I'm going to need to build it out and connect the rooms. So it's like it's just very repetitive in that regard. I know I need to connect the numbers.
And maybe for me, I need that repetitiveness.
Right.
That's something I need for me to do well in this game.
Yeah.
So it's just a difference of our cognitive stuff too.
Right. It's just not enough variety in the actions. It's very sequential. Like I have to do this, then I know I'm going to do this, and I know I'm going to do this.
It helps me. I like it. But
right. Well, you like dice games.
I love dice games,
right.
But I do respect if David's like, no, I'm not in the mood today. I'm like, okay, that's fine. We'll play something else.
And it's solid.
It is.
I just would like to have had more surprises. It's very predictable. That's the way to put it. It's very predictable. It's like watching sitcoms. I don't watch sitcoms anymore.
Oh, I do.
I saw so many in the 80s and 90s. I don't want to watch them anymore. It's very predictable. So that's an example. This is like a sitcom that I've seen too many times, with a laugh track going in the background. All right. So anyway,
The Office didn't have a laugh track.
but that was not a predictable, and it wasn't a sitcom.
That's true.
Okay.
Good point. Okay.
Anyway,
All
so
right.
thanks for watching.
We hope you guys had a good time watching this with us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.